This is a special edition of News Channel 9 at 6 o'clock.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christy Casciano.
And I'm Rod Wood. From your local election headquarters, millions of dollars have been spent on ads, thousands of hours pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, making calls, or sending text messages. But it all comes down to today for the midterm elections.
And there is plenty on the line. We have complete team coverage for you tonight.
Our team of reporters spreading out all across central New York, covering the local congressional races. And we want to begin with our Josh Martin. He's with the Claudia Tenney campaign in New Hartford tonight. Josh, this is certainly one of the most closely watched races in the nation.
It certainly is, and people are showing that by coming out to vote. The parking lot here at St. George Orthodox Church has been a zoo. There's been too many cars for the parking lot to handle. I had one woman tell me inside that this feels more like a presidential election with the number of people that have come out here to vote. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney cast her vote just a few minutes ago, and if you're one of those people that had a little trouble at the polling place, maybe couldn't get your card to work, she also, for whatever reason, had a little trouble. She says she's very confident heading into tonight. She has the endorsement of President Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
People are definitely voting. I think there's been a lot of attention on this race. Obviously, as you know, it's a top 10 race. My opponent has spent more money than any other person who's ever run for office in this region. He's had more money coming from California, New York City, you name it. And, you know, there's a lot of money coming in to buy this race and make somebody who is really very much a left-wing person look like a moderate Republican in this district. So it'll be interesting to see if the voters saw through all the ads and all the millions of dollars that have been spent. I think as of today...
We're getting ready to head out here as we follow the Tenney campaign. We'll be with them all night. We're going to shift gears now and head to her opponent, Anthony Brindisi. For more on that, our Julia LeBlanc is with his campaign. Julia?
Josh, it may not look like it right now, but in a few hours, campaign managers for Anthony Brindisi say they're expecting 300, if not 400 supporters to come here to the Delta Hotel for his watch party. Now, Brindisi spent the day thanking his supporters for helping him get out the vote for, as we keep saying, is one of the most watched races nationally. Now, and that's for good reason. The race for a seat in New York's 22nd congressional district between Republican incumbent Claudia Tenney and Democratic challenger Anthony Brindisi is in a dead heat right now, with the most recent Siena College poll predicting a 1-point lead with Tenney at 46% and Brindisi following closely behind at 45%. But according to Board of Election officials, there's nearly 10,000 New York 22 absentee ballots still not accounted for. And those could take weeks to be officially submitted. In a statement we received from Brindisi earlier this week, he tells us while his opponent, Congresswoman Tenney, is spending her final days before Election Day meeting with White House officials, he knocked on the doors of New York voters. And this morning, he placed his own vote at Mohawk Valley Community College.
We expect we're going to win tonight, and then I'm going to start reaching out as I have done over the next several weeks, trying to build our office. I want to make sure that we're getting a good, diverse opinions on the people that we bring in, that we hire. I'm going to continue to do town hall meetings and listen to voters, Democrats, Republicans, Independents. That's what I've done during my time in the State Assembly, and it's what I'm going to continue to do in Washington.
Now, of course, the polls are open for the next few hours until 9 p.m., so there is still time to get out and vote. And, of course, follow News Channel 9 for those results once we get them. Rod and Christy.
Julia, thank you. Well, the other big race we're tracking tonight is in the 24th Congressional District. That district pitting incumbent Republican Congressman John Katko against Democratic challenger Dana Bolter.
And for that part of our team coverage, as we continue, we want to send it to News Channel 9's Andrew Donovan. He's live at GOP headquarters at the Sheraton Syracuse University Hotel. Andrew.
Well, Christy, Congressman Katko led a recent poll last week by 14 points, but he knows the poll that really matters is today when voters head to the actual polls, and he hopes the result is the same and he comes out on top to be reelected to a third term. He would be the first three-term congressman in this district since Congressman Jim Walsh, also a Republican. 2 years ago, Katko was the first incumbent to be reelected in this moderate district since Walsh himself. But life as a Republican is admittedly harder in the era of President Donald Trump. We were there with Congressman Katko on his busy Election Day schedule, getting to all 4 counties in the district. He started early in Wolcott and Wayne County, got to Auburn and Cayuga County, then Fulton and Oswego County, and his final stop this afternoon voting in his hometown of Camillus at the Camillus Fire Station. This race has been heated. It's close. How does this Election Day feel like you're past to?
You know, they all feel kind of the same in that, you know, I've done all I can do. And as long as you've done all you can do, I mean, it's just, you have to live in the hands of the voters at this point. That's why I'm satisfied we've worked as hard as we possibly can. We've never been outworked in any campaign, and we never will.
For our early vote, or for our Congressman Katko hopes the election party here is his 3rd victory party. It's quiet right now, the room getting set up as the candidates maybe rest up before they come down after the results are known later tonight. We assume it's also quiet at the Dana Balter headquarters right now. News Channel 9's Nicole Somavilla is there. That's at the Marriott Syracuse downtown, just a few blocks from here. Nicole, what's the Balter campaign thinking tonight?
Thank you, Andrew, and it's pretty quiet here as well. Now, we've been reporting this Siena poll all week that John Katko does hold that 14-point lead, but the Dana Balter campaign is hopeful that the independent polls show it is a much tighter race. Now, Dana Balter has been out on the streets at different polling places today. We caught up with her when she voted earlier this morning. She told us she's been working since this morning when those polls opened with volunteers, making phone calls and knocking on doors, hopeful to grab that support of even more voters before they hit the polls today. Of course, you still have time. Those polls close at 9 p.m. tonight. And Balter said she's still sending the message home that she's been listening to people all across the district and that she's a candidate who will show up in the community if she is elected.
And that's what I offer. And that means fighting for the things that are going to make life better here for hardworking families of Central and Western New York. Everything from making sure that there are good jobs with fair wages so people can support their families, to making sure everybody has access to see a doctor when they need to working hard to get big money out of politics. Because this whole thing is about bringing government back to the hands of the people where it belongs.
Now, it is quiet here again at the Democratic headquarters. The party kicks off here at 9 p.m. when those polls close, and we're told they're expecting what could be hundreds of people. Last year, they were expecting 100. Turned out that 400 people came, so they are prepping for quite a number of people. I'm live at the Marriott Syracuse downtown. Nicole Somavilla, News Channel 9. Rod, Christy.
Thank you, Nicole. And, we talk about high-stakes races. So what is at stake in these congressional races as we count down to the polls closing at 9 p.m.?
Well, News Channel 9's Jeff Kulikowski is at SmartLink 9 right now to break things down for us. Jeff?
Well, Rod and Christy, certainly a lot on the line in terms of balance of power in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. Certainly a lot of attention on those 2 races that you just heard from. Both could go either way. They could stay red, both in the hands of Republicans right now, or they could very easily flip to blue. Those are very close races. And the Democrats need a net gain of 23 votes in the entire country to take back control of the House. So certainly one of the more closely watched congressional races is in the 22nd between Republican Claudia Tenney, looking for her 2nd term, in that tight battle with Democrat Anthony Brindisi, currently an assemblyman. The latest poll there, basically even. Very few, if any, incumbents taking re-election for granted, including in the 23rd district. That's a very big district covering Geneva down to Ithaca, all the way through Elmira, west to Jamestown. Republican Tom Reed holds that seat right now, but he's got a challenge from Democrat Tracy Matrano. And then another hotly contested race, as you've heard from Andrew and Nicole there. That race for the 24th congressional district seat in New York covers all of Onondaga, Cayuga, Wayne, and the western part of Oswego County. Got the incumbent John Katko trying to fight off a very strong challenge from Democrat Dana Balter. Independent and internal polls on each side are indicating that is a very tight race between the two. So we'll be following things all night long. There are about 13,000 absentee ballots out in both the 22nd and 24th districts that will need to be counted if it gets down that far. So very possible, Rod and Christy, we go to bed tonight not having a declared winner in either of those 2 tight races.
Could be highly possible. All right, thank you, Jeff. Well, Governor Cuomo is now looking for another term of office, of course, but he faces a few challengers in tonight's election. Cuomo facing Republican challenger Marc Molinaro. Also on the ballot are 3 third-party candidates: Libertarian Larry Sharpe, Green Party nominee Howie Hawkins, and former Syracuse Mayor Stephanie Miner, an independent.
New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand also up for another 4-year term. She's facing a challenge from Republican Chelle Farley. The most recent polling shows Gillibrand well ahead by 23 points, 58 to 35%.
And now to the 50th State Senate District race, and that's pitting Republican Onondaga County Comptroller Bob Antonacci against Democrat and West Genesee biology teacher John Mannion. Whoever wins will replace longtime State Senator John DeFrancisco. The district itself is seen as a bit of a battleground. A number of registered Democrats and Republicans are split right down the middle, 33% for both sides. We were there as each candidate cast their ballot this morning. We spoke with them about why they're best for the job.
I'm coming at it as a community member who hasn't been embedded in the political process. So what I feel we absolutely need is ethics reform in New York State, real ethics reform. So that's one of the major things that I'm running on.
Well, I think it's my unique combination of governmental experience, 11 years as the county comptroller fighting for taxpayers, and then you couple that with my private sector experience being a certified public accountant. I think I've got the skill set to go down to Albany and finally fix it for once.
And Republicans will need Antonacci to win in order to hold on to that seat.
The balance of power in the New York State Senate on the line. One of the key races also is up for the open seat of Dave Volesky, beaten in a Democratic primary. And while still on the ballot on the third-party lines, Volesky chose not to actively run on them. The woman who beat him, Democrat Rachel May, trying to keep the seat for her party and turn back Republican Janet Berman.
In the race for Onondaga County Sheriff, incumbent Sheriff Gene Conway is facing a challenge from Democrat Mike Montes. Both candidates have long dedicated themselves to law enforcement.